With the release of the new Fallout TV show last month, it introduced many new characters into the Fallout universe, one of them being the namesake of this run, and to that end, I will ask the question, can you beat Fallout 4 as Lucy Maclean? This run will entail a few rules, those being that I must keep my vault suit on at all times, as Lucy doesn't take it off during the entirety of the show. I also must only use the 10mm pistol and the security baton found in the vault, as I don't have access to a dart gun, and they're Vault-Tec weapons, so I can assume she would use them. Along with the fact that I must not start any violence with the human enemies, as it doesn't seem something she would do. With that out of the way, let's begin. Having me start out in Sanctuary, once again, I tried my hardest to make Lucy to the best of my abilities, with reference I might add, but as you can see, it's not the best. But with this starting to take a bit too long, I said screw it, it's good enough, then greeted the Vault-Tec rep kindly for once, and set my specials. And with one Google search, I found out Lucy already had some specials, them being a 4 in strength, 7 in perception, 6 in endurance, 5 in charisma, 6 in intelligence, a 5 in agility, and a 7 in luck. Initially I was not able to do them all, as Fallout 4 doesn't give enough special points, so to get the points was made another aim for the run. Then like usual, the world ended, we were frozen like popsicles, and I was released back out. Lucy now having a quest to find her son, father, yes. It all lines up with the show, and I do love how Bethesda continues to make the storylines about finding person A. Anyways, onward I went using the baton and the 10mm pistol to clap the roaches all the way to the surface. First things first, I ran over to the armor bench in Sanctuary to change my vault suit so it said 33, being able to do this thanks to some free Creation Club content, and I went on the road down to Concord, in search of my son. Picking up Dogmeat on my way past, I don't see this as being a big issue as Dogmeat was in the show, but don't worry if you do find this an issue, as I will be trading him out for a different companion later, don't you worry. Coming up on the raiders in the town centre, I allowed them to initiate the attack, giving Lucy ample reason to put her shooting practice to the test, as I gunned down all the raiders on my path up to the museum. And taking all their leather armour, as it was the only real armour Lucy was seen wearing on the show, so it would be my main source of damage mitigation for the run. Also levelling up here, I began putting points into strength for both the armour perk and to get the stats in line with Lucy. Doing the same inside the museum, I spoke with the main man Preston, headed back out the front entrance to deal with the remaining raider population. And let's not kid ourselves, if you've been paying close attention to my ammo count, I think you know it's about what is about to take place. With the death cord popping out, and me only having just about 17 bullets. And retreating inside the building next to the museum, with Preston's help, and my baton, I could slowly whittle down the health, only dying a few times in the process. I continued to lure it next to the building, and with one final swing, Dogmeat pounced, got the final hit in on the death floor. Luckily it not being pressed, as then I would really be mad. He then congratulated me, and I told him I would meet him back in Sanctuary. Heading back with the settlers, I gave them the basic necessities, and told Preston I would help him rebuild the Minutemen. Here also putting a point into toughness, as I was going to need some damage resistance until I obtained the armour perk. And with that being at least 4 levels away, I had some grinding to do. So to that end, I headed for Diamond City. On my way coming across the Drumlin Diner, where I put my charisma to the test, calming down both Wolfgang and Trudy so we could all be friends.
Oh, friend!
Here making sure to buy up all Trudy's 10mm ammo so I could actually have some in my gun. Going a stone's throw up the road, I found a Tin Man, helping him out with his gold problem, which then led to us going on a field trip to ArcJet Systems, as he needed a deep range transmitter to call up his buddies. Inside, Dance was a verifiable tank when facing down the simps, so I really didn't have to do that much, just helping him out with the stragglers, as my 10mm was not very effective against them. Further in, I turned Dance into a spit roast. We were then able to retrieve the transmitter and return to the surface. Here, I joined the Brotherhood, but not to help them, just for Dance. Sadly, I couldn't get him yet, not until I had my breakfast. So for now, I left him and continued on my merry way. On my way past, I marked Oberlin Station for later, as well as coming across Cricket, having a great deal of trouble outside Vault 81, with a Yaoguai. Thankfully, it was distracted long enough for me to put it down.
That was a close one.
Venturing ever closer, Lucy in her naivete came to the aid of some settlers whose cries for help she could not ignore. Following the setter into Hardware Town, I was met by an ambush, sprang into action with my prior training on the raiders in Concord. I put 2 into the back of her head, whittling down the rest, Demo taking the longest, thanks to the fancy skull next to his name, him too eventually beating the dust to a well-placed headshot. While I was there, I also made some green paint for Abbott due to my prior knowledge that he would need some, and I finally reached Diamond City. Listening to Piper and the mayor's spiel, I then stocked up on ammo and stimpaks in the market, and for once going into the detective agency, finding that Nick was missing, and with Lucy needing him to find Sean, I planned to go and rescue him. Of which didn't happen for a while, as I needed to be geared up first. So to that end, I went back to Century to upgrade my pistol, also making it rep some fancy Vault-Tec drip. Now heading back to Vault 81 as Lucy wanted to meet some fellow Vault dwellers. And I needed some more levels, so to hit the nail on the head, I whistled my way in with my charisma and went about helping the residents, reading a story to a class, giving a blood donation, and saving a cat, all to be given the shock that a little ginger child had gotten bit by a mole rat. And in my good nature, I ventured into the abandoned section of the vault for a cure, it being infested with mole rats, who took nibbles at my toes, but thankfully only taking 1 shot to go down. Here also finding the misdeeds of Vault-Tec, them spying and experimenting on the residents. Being badly beaten by the broodmother, her taking at least 40 goddamn shots to take down, I was eventually able to kill her. Then seeing a mole rat transcend dimensions, I thought it was high time to get out of it, so collecting the cure from Curie, I gave it to the little ginger kid, and my work here was done. Retreating to Sanctuary after the fact, I began to help my favourite person.
How about the settlement problem? Another settlement needs our help. I'll mark it on your map.
In doing so, I came across Sully Mathis, helping him turn some valves and valiantly fending off some alerts from the safety of elevation. With my want to help the Minutemen being so great, I even stopped off at Satellite Station Olivia to retrieve the locket for the Abernethys, to along with 10 Pines Bluff, recruit them to the Minutemen. The base was fairly easy, having banked a crit from using VATs on all the raiders. Akak was able to go down quite quickly, before her minigun was even able to fire a single shot. Collecting the locket, I continued towards 10 Pines Bluff, with them tasking me to clear out Corvega. I still had some gear grinding to do first, however, as I wanted a bit more protection on my lever. And to not bore you with this, as it had me repeatedly fast travel between Sanctuary, Drum and Diamond City, like a pinball, buying up leather and other essentials in order to upgrade my armour. In here, also dropping off the paint to Abbott, netting me some XP and caps in the process. Also, as well, doing Piper's interview for once. I then was able to go back to Sanctuary, upgrade my armour as high as possible with rank 1 of the armourer perk, giving it some boosted damage and resistance. Levelling up, I was able to put my final point into strength as well. With that, my want to impress Preston caught up with me. Entering Corvega, the raiders continued their uselessness, as most of them went down to it in a single shot to the head, me witnessing many a head bob, and I think this displays very well my rank 1 gun nut upgraded pistol and the damage it can do. Continuing this trend of the raiders being pushovers, Jared went down in just a few shots. I then told the settlers of my success, and by extension Preston, him tasking me with helping Oberlin Station, as I had predicted earlier, so it was easy enough as fast travelling right there. Also making sure to clear out Starlight Drive in first, so I could rack up the settlements, but as they were like crack for Preston, some of the more the merrier. Back to Oberlin Station, the settlers had me go clear out Sunshine Tidings Co-op, and doing pest control on some ghouls and some rat roaches. Claiming it for the Minutemen, I told Preston of my work, this being enough settlements to progress to retaking the castle. That I will not be doing for a while, however. Instead, I thought I should follow up on the rumours from Diamond City, and search for this railroad. Making my way to Cambridge Police Station, I was able to mark CID and also come across some cultists. No matter how much I wanted to put them down, I could not, as I don't think Lucy really realistically would have just gone and massacred a whole bunch of people for no reason. So past that, I continued on to the Old North Church. Punching in the code, I was greeted by the cave dwellers. With Deacon vouching for me, I was roped into helping them on a mission. So going along with said mission, it had me meet up with Deacon, him being as much as a pain in the arse as expected, as he was for some reason interested in hunting some radstag. To give him the benefit of the doubt, he had the right attire, but it was just quite annoying. Eventually he did give up, and I was able to progress the quest, which had me go down a pipe into the bowels of Slocum Joe's. And like earlier, the synths continue to be annoying bullet sponges, which is something you are going to hear a lot in this run. But at the very least, I could loot them for their ammo to sell later. Making my way through the base, it was much of the crunching chrome domes and that. Me getting a bit cocky as I thought I could withstand a barrage of lasers. I in fact could not. But getting the MacGuffin, Deacon handed me the deliverer, which I suppose I could use for the challenge as it is a 10mm, but I ended up using it very sparingly, as the base 10mm is just way too overpowered. I then exited the basement, headed back to the railroad, only after watching Deacon, in his infinite wisdom, blow himself up on the mines. I then joined up with the railroad, choosing the code name Bullseye, as Lucy was surprisingly good with a gun, and I was indoctrinated into the cult of Thomas the Tank Engine. I'll breeze past the next missions as I won't bore you. I escorted a synth, which was no hassle, cleared out Hangman's Alley for Pam, which I think went towards my settlement count for Preston, so that was pretty good. And then continued to do more quests for Pam, which was my sole reason for even helping them, as I wanted ballistic weave. Clearing out some more locations and doing the DIA caches for Pam, wondering why the game was not giving me the prompt to speak with Tinker Tom for the ballistic weave, only for me to finally realise it could not be used on a vault suit. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Now, after that monolithic waste of time, me spending upwards of a goddamn hour on this, it being the whole reason I even spoke to the fucking railroad in the first place, I will continue the main story. The triggermen down in Park Street Station being surprisingly spongy to my bullets. Thankfully, a lot of them carried 10mm, so I could get my ammo back off of them. Making my way deeper into the vault, I relied on a stand back and pick off strategy. With the exception of Dino, whom I walked up and put 2 shots into his cranium. Collecting Nick, we made our exit, and for once, putting my charisma to good use as I convinced Darla to leave Skinny. And then speaking with the synth detective, we had our chat about Kellogg. I bribed the mayor's assistant for the key and gained entrance into his house. And then I gave Dogmeat a sniff of the cigars. After some rigmarole where Dogmeat refused to exit Diamond City, I made it to the fort. Inside there being nothing special, as by now I had fully upgraded 10mm, and it could rapid fire, which did much damage. This I think stands as a testament to how broken Bethesda made their power scaling in this game. But besides this, the synths inside the fort were easy to push past. Confronting Kellogg, to keep it in keeping with the run, and what I think Lucy would do, I began talking with Mr. Cornflakes. But of course, as Bethesda does not know how to make options, he attacked me, and I was forced to put him down. Focusing him in VATS and using a critical I had made sure to save up on my way through, I got him down to a sliver of health. Following this up with a few more bullets, he was put down. I then finished off his synths, collected his brain, and exited the fort. Seeing the Pridwin arrive, I remembered dance existed, and headed straight for the police station, as I had finally had my breakfast, so it was high time to get him along for the ride. However, first I had to make the ride up to the Pridwin, listen to Max and drone on, and I could finally collect Dance, him being my stand-in for Maximus for the remainder of the playthrough, which I think fits more as Maximus didn't properly join up with Lucy until like halfway through the show. That'll be in my cope anyway. Now with that out of the way, it's finally time for me to help Preston retake the castle. Not having any more locations not that close to the castle, I elected to jump from the Pridwin. The first time not going very well, The second I got it, as I was this time able to properly aim for the water, and thankfully did not die. Then I swam my way there. Meeting with the gang, we began retaking the castle. Me not being able to worm this in any other way, so I would just put it here. During the entire time, from this point forward, Dance did nothing but complain about helping the Minutemen, yet he still came along for the ride. I just found that quite funny. Nevertheless, the oversized crabs were fairly easy. As long as I aimed for their heads, they were a piece of cake, and as I said in Fort Hagen, due to the fast shooting, they went down quite fast also. Now with the Queen, it was a different story, her being an almighty bullet sponge, mainly just wasting my time and ammo, in the end having to resort to my goddamn batton, like I did in Concord with the Deathclaw, as I had no ammo left. Luckily, she was very low, and I had saved a crit, so this was a non-issue. With the castle cleared, and Preston happy, just before marching on with the story, I thought it was the best interest to stock up on ammo, that being one of the things the railroad was still useful for. I only bring this up, however, as when I fast travelled into the Old North Church, Dance obviously came with me, but at this exact time the railroad decided to have their secret meeting about what to do if the Brotherhood attacked them, and with Dance being right there, they clearly are the most intelligent faction in the game. With that out of the way, I then went for a fun run through Kellogg's memories, afterwards making my way to Virgil. On my way into the glowing sea, I thought I should also help out the nearby settlement, as Preston had told me earlier. I only bring this up as it had me to go to a school, which I don't think I've ever actually been to before in the game, and all the girls were pink. I just thought that was neat. Aside from that, nothing much more eventful happened on my way to Virgil. I will just bring it up. I did put a radiation suit on here, as Lucy clearly didn't want any rads. Just saying. One thing I did to spice things up a little was actually kill the Deathclaw outside Virgil's cave for once. Meeting with Big Green, he sent me off to Big Green, and having marked CIT earlier, Green Tech was only a jaunt down the road. And I won't act as if it was hard, like I said earlier, my pistol was stacked. Along with my armour and my boosting and stat boosting perks, I was able to practically run through the place. Once again, like with Kellogg, Lucy tried to pursue the diplomatic option with the Corsair, but unlike Kellogg, he was a significant pain in the arse with his stealth boy and wasting way more ammo than I would have liked to have used. Eventually he did die, and I grabbed the chip, helping the synth out of her cage, gave the railroad their one final use as I met with Tinker Tom and he decoded the chip, then getting the plans from Virgil. To be a bit different here, I decided to move all my junk, along with Sturgis and Preston, to the castle, as I wanted to build the teleporter there, and having some more bodies to help with the upcoming invasion, I just thought it would be helpful. So to that end, it took a few trips, and during this time also put my final point of perception, it now being at 7. On my last trip to the castle, I was also informed some old woman wanted me to help her. So running around in the basement, setting up some useless artillery, I was then able to plant the teleporter down, also making sure to put down some turrets for later, and I was beamed into the Institute. If you've watched the show, you might know what I'm about to do, as I met his father, heard him out, but refused to join him. I did not kill him, as in the show Lucy couldn't kill her father, so instead I just up and left. Returning to the castle, put my final point into agility, I now had Lucy's full stats for the run. Now having one final settlement to help out before I could defend the castle, it being Nordhagen Beach. So I went over, cleared out a settlement of some ghouls they wanted me to, and this, like many other encounters, just serving as a massive bullet and time waster. But thankfully, it was the last one I needed, though I did my usual stops at Tom, Trudy and Arturo for the ammo, making sure to wait for restocks so I had enough for the final fight. During this time I did come across something a bit funky, as the quest where McDonough is found out as a synth started, which I didn't think happened until the fall of the Institute, so that was pretty random. Of course I made sure to try reason with him, but like everything else, that failed, so I had to kill him. Eventually though, I returned to the castle as the sirens were a blur, and the siege commenced. now having a shitload of turrets and dance by my side, as long as having moved Codsworth over, as I forgot to mention earlier. This was not that difficult. As I have had before, I was able to pick off a few synths, them still remaining to be massive bullet sponges. I began to use up way too much ammo than I actually wanted. Dying a couple times to some overbearing coursers, they had me on the ropes. Running ever low on ammo, bearing in mind I started this fight with over 300 rounds, I then unceremoniously skedaddled from the fight to resupply. But the jokes were on me, because as soon as I travelled to trade with Trudy, I got confirmation on the side that the castle had been protected, and I got the nuclear option. This also failing the Brotherhood quests, which I thought would make Dance leave me, but thankfully that didn't happen. Returning to the castle, slightly embarrassed at my prior retreat, I spoke with Preston and Sturgis, and it was time for our assault on the Institute, having me swim up some pipes into the sewer, down here making an effort to run past all the enemies, as I wanted to preserve as much ammo as possible until I made it into the Institute. I was then able to make it. Entering, I relayed everyone in, and the assault began. The funny thing is, even Dance followed me in here, which I did find comical, as the entire time he spent despising the Minutemen, yet he was happy to follow me in there and help them blow up the Institute. Like, what is it with this man? Anyways, now you all know how this goes, and to save me repeating myself for the millionth time, we fought our way through. I spoke with Father nicely, and probably how I see Lucy doing her next meeting with Hank in the show. I then ran through the place, strapped the nuke to the reactor, as by now I had run out of ammo again. I agreed to bring the synth child along with me, and Sturgis teleported us out of there. And we were left with no choice. Lucy flipped a switch, and the Institute went up in a nuclear flame. And with that, I can finally say, yes indeed, you can beat Fallout 4 as Lucy Maclean. With how good the show was, I was quite excited to do this character run, and I can say, on my end, it was fun. I do hope you enjoyed as a viewer, and if somehow you have watched this all the way through, and not watched the show, go watch it now. It is amazing. Anywho, I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing. If you have any suggestions for the future runs, please leave them in the description. Goodbye everybody.